Hey, you down here? Well, back again on Easter Sunday, no less. Happy Easter. Um, I rested this morning and got outside yesterday. I didn't work on the computer yesterday, Mom's computer. I got outside and in the garage. It was a beautiful day, and I piddled around with. Well, I wanted to put her computer in my rack down here, and so I needed to move some computers around, take one or two. I ended up taking two out of there so it would fit because it's so wide that I couldn't get three in there like usual. I could only have the two, this one and my blue FIC, which I'm planning on using here and there. And anyway, I got outside, and of course I got on a big sidetrack. I ended up setting up one of the computers out there to use because it's newer than the ones that I had out there, and I looked up and saw my van's tires, and I remembered, oh yeah, those are looking pretty low, so I thought I better air them up. So I aired up the van's tires, and then I looked at my Blazer. I thought, well, I can't leave that one unattended, so I checked it. Yeah, they needed airing up too. You can't tell by looking at them and kicking them. I mean, if they get really low, they were 20 pounds, and generally, I generally keep 34 to 36 pounds on them, you know. I think I actually went to 34 because it's going to be summer before I know it, and I don't want the sun will raise the pressure about 3 or 4 pounds. The heat, maybe even more if the sun's directly on them for a long time. Then I looked at Mom's car, and I thought, well, it's not fair to not check hers too, so I checked hers. Then I checked my battery in my Blazer and charged it up, and then I checked all the her fluids and everything. and then I went back to setting up that computer, and that's when after I did all that, I finally set up that computer in the garage and piddled around. So I went out there in the morning around 8 or 9 o'clock, I think, something 9:30, and I quit. I came back. I came in a few times, you know, but I came in and was done by around 6, I think. So, but I really enjoyed it. It was nice to. I really needed a break from, you know, just sitting in here working on that computer making videos. I like doing both, but I've been doing it when you do it same thing every day, it gets tiring. It's you just get tired of it. So anyway, the Amazon. I forgot to. I left my preview playing over there, and I never did. Yeah. Okay. So I always like to make sure my audio's working before I move on. So I got the. Let's see. Yeah, let me just. I'm gonna switch mics. Let's see, and then I will show you the order, the Amazon order of Mom's. Hang on. Okay. Yes, we're on the wireless. Now I want to start my preview again and make sure everything's good. Can't find the reload button. Okay. Yeah, I don't need that because now here's my box. I didn't open it yet because of this. Look at that. Look at the end of that. Looks like they trying to turn it into a football. They threw it so hard at something that it that got dang near pointy on the end. Depends on which way you kind of look at it. You can see, there you go. You can kind of see. I mean, that thing is really creased up. And so I thought, well, you know what? I doubt anything's hurt because I don't know. I mean, it could be. There's that plastic guard on that fan is breakable. I don't know if I can set this anywhere. The keyboard tray's not really all that sturdy, and it's not tall enough for where I have my camera, but just barely. Always cut away from yourself because see there. I don't care how, this is not as sharp as it was, but the sharper knife is sometimes safer. Yeah, sometimes. See, when you end up having to jerk it, you never know how. And I tend to lift up that with my finger, but you better make sure your finger's not near what you're cutting. Of course, most people know how to do these things, and they don't need my instructions, but it's really just to let you know that I know how. I guess. I don't know. Okay, so here's what's in there. It did have that, but the end that's bent is where my box evidently slammed that in my can of. At least they did have some bubble wrap on it and stuff. usually they wrap stuff good enough that that's good. They actually put it in a plastic bag, so if it did leak, it wouldn't go all over everything. That you just you never know what you'll get because with Amazon, you know, you're getting from different sellers. Evidently, this was since they both came in the same box. They must have both been supplied by Amazon. I think I remember that the this is that CRC contact cleaner, and I always remember what I liked that worked so well was contact cleaner. But after a while, I started thinking, you know what? I think it was LPS brand that I like so much. But hopefully, this will be better than the red. I don't know. It costs more, so it should be better, right? Not usually. Not always. Not usually. Not usually is right. Okay, so I guess pop one. Okay, but I knew, you know, even when I saw that, I wasn't super worried. When I saw that it had been treated like a football, I wasn't super worried because that box out of the way. Because okay, I'll just have to hold it up in my hands. Usually when I do something like this, I have a camera set up just for it, but since I needed the other camera set up on that's pointy and easy to hurt yourself with. So anyway, I decided, you know, I knew that this wouldn't be right on where I needed it to be, but there we go. All right, let's get it open here. Anyway, I got the fan. See, now here's what I was worried about getting broke, but it looks fine. We'll get it out, and then I'll get the. Not only will I show it to you, but it's a very. I got a pretty good cover on it. Oh, the clips. That's pretty good. The clips that hold the heat sink down are holding the cover on it. Because a lot of times they'll just fall right off when you get a new heat sink, CPU heat sink. A lot of times they'll fall right off. And it's supposed to have heat sink paste on it. It's got some kind of... Okay, now what I'll do is get my endoscope after it. Because... it's not gonna do. Yeah, you can't see it at all. Straight to just endoscope. Okay, so here it is. This is what I got. See if I can turn that so that it's right side up. It's hard to do, and keep it there. There we go. That's fairly right side up. Okay, so it's an Arctic Alpine 64 Pro is what it's called. It was $10, but didn't have it actually didn't it didn't have the absolute best. It has a rubber shock mount, so I thought that could. Well, now that shock mount is okay. The fan is this is kind of like that other one. Okay, the fan is kind of upside down. It's mounted into here. The motor's up here. It's hanging from this thing, so you know they'll vibrate and that makes noise, right? So. Especially when they start getting older and vibrate more. So that's supposed to be, they say they're patented. Oh, look, you can see it really does have some shock to it. It might actually do some good. Look at that. So it's held by hard plastic, rubber, and then rubber, and that rubber, see there? And it's going up and down on another piece of rubber. That's not hard plastic on that one. And then there's these two screws to hold the whole thing on there. And the other one, well, I think this heatsink will be just fine. It looks like about the same size. I was afraid it might be bigger than my other heatsink. And it's a 4-pin. And the colors are even different than usual. A blue. Well, let's see. Black, yellow, normal for computers. Green, well, not for fans. and blue. But they're sense wires, so that makes more sense because on computers, yellow is 12 volt, red is 5 volt, and sometimes they're negative or positive. But and then black is ground. But then blue and green, and purple and pink and are usually sense or speed. One of those is going to be speed control, and the other is going to be sense. So I'm going to guess, and I got to you can see those little deals there. It's only going to go in one spot. Because actually on one of the fan reviews for a CPU fan I read, they said they plugged it was 4-pin instead of 3 like theirs, and they said they plugged it in and it poofed their motherboard. And I thought, well, did you try really hard and plug it in wrong, or was it? They probably didn't, because their whole review. They didn't sound like a computer tech or anything, but they said I'd added this and that and the other. They didn't sound like they were completely illiterate. I won't say ignorant. Oh, I just said it. They didn't sound completely ignorant about computer hardware. So, but they also didn't sound like, a tech or anything. But of course, some people know a lot and don't write really well, and some people write really well and don't know jack. So that doesn't mean a lot either sometimes. And this is a curious thing. What does that say on there? User manual. So I guess you're supposed to scan that. It's shaped like a phone, looks like a phone. You're supposed to scan that with your phone, and you're going to get, I guess it'll download the PDF for you or something. That's kind of cute, but it's all right. It's kind of a cute gimmick. Now, unless that's it. Of course, if that is the only way to get that manual in an easy way, then that's kind of a pain, because my phones are my cameras. They're not my computers, even though they are little computers. This budget CPU cooler offers standard users enough performance. Noise level at a minimum. I don't think it's going to be real quiet, but as long as it doesn't sound like it's going to take off and fly like the one I got. Sounds like a model airplane. So we'll see. I had never thought about showing the papers that came with it, but since I'm sitting here with my thing on, my endoscope on, and plus I'm reading it off the preview here because I can't see that to save my life. Yeah, so you're gonna take off the old one, CPU fan. Yeah, see that picture there? That is, I took a good look at that with my endoscope last time, and so yeah, you're gonna have to try really hard to get it on there. I mean, you could put it on backwards. You could not put those slots, those two protrusions on the side of the connector, on the guide, I'll say, on the male plug that's on the motherboard, and mess up, and then clean the CPU carefully. Of course, mine's gonna be covered in I think I added some CPU paste recently, so I'm not gonna be doing that. I'll just leave the CPU paste on there that's on there. But and then that plastic cover I was talking about, did I show that? They always have a plastic cover. But what was unique and kind of neat to me is that it's actually held on pretty well. Whoops, you can't snap it off. By the clips that clip it down on the motherboard, clip the thing down on the motherboard. And let's see, what does it say there? The screws are sitting perfectly in the hole. Well, my fan is already put on there, but I will make sure they're tight. Not too tight, not too, well, I mean, I won't over tighten them, but I want to make sure they're not loose. Sometimes you get stuff it's telling you how to assemble it. Well, if you ever did have to take it apart, that would be good, in case you didn't have any trouble figuring it out or anything. Okay, and it's showing you don't leave them loose. Make sure they clip. Yeah, those things are not hard, but they can be tricky though. That's not usually like the one that's on there. It has one clip like this on one side. When I go take it off, I'll show it. And then the other one has a handle to crank it down and make it tight. Now, I hope that this is, going to hold it good and tight. It's just a snap-on. I've seen one or two more others like that. They just snap on, and they do fine. Anyway, it's supposed to already. Oh, I see the CPU paste. It doesn't. I may add some. I've got a new tube that I don't even know if I've used any of it yet. I may add a little more in there. That looks like it's not the really viscous kind. It's the more dry kind. Didn't say anything about peeling off a sticker or anything, did it? I didn't see one. All it said was, okay, that right there, one sentence. What does it say? Do not touch the pre-applied thermal paste. That's all. Yeah. I used to think, you always saw that on everything, and of course you don't want to get your finger oil in it. You don't want to rub it off and all that, but I used to think it was some mysterious thing that you would just ruin it if you touched it or anything, and finally learned over the years. I mean, lots of people do that too, but I'll put it on and usually I'll spread it out more evenly with my finger. And it's never hurt a thing. What hurts is when you don't, when it dry, it'll always, especially on laptops, it'll dry up. And on desktops, a couple of these old desktops I got recently were dried up. They had just been allowed to run hot. So when they run hot and they're full of dust and they get hotter and hotter, they'll just bake that paste or grease. It's what I believe it is actually. And then your machine will overheat. Laptops will just get so hot they'll shut down. And people think their laptops are going out, and that's how come I get free laptops. So don't tell anybody about that. Don't tell anybody I said that. Now the guy that gave me let's see, well actually he never did give me a laptop. He'd bring them to me to fix, and I taught him that, Jeff, but he gave me all these desktops, Anyway, I learned that about laptops because I had, I had 3 of them given to me. 2 from one guy, a friend, and he found somebody had left them in his laundromat where he lived, and in a box, and said, "Here, if you want them, take them." And they were all broke out, wore out, and full of viruses. And so I cleaned them up and fixed them up, and then the one that I'm previewing with, I started to show it with the endoscope. I can, but this one here was given to me by my niece and sister, and it was full of viruses. And that's the only thing that was wrong with it. I think it's the prettiest little laptop. It's a Dell 6000. I can't get straight with this endoscope. I mean, it's really hard to. But anyway, try to get off of it. Let's go to camera 2 now, because that's the next thing I want to do anyway. Okay, so I'm going to boot this thing up. I just realized I got my stream, my preview playing, and I forgot to pause it, and that works that machine so hard when I do that. Okay, but I'm good. I've got sound. Now I'm going to boot it up before I take it down and put the new one in there. Let me switch over to that so I can shut it down properly. A while ago, I accidentally hit the button when I was getting it out. It was all plugged in, and in my rack underneath down at the bottom of my rack. And I thought, well, I can pull that out with the power plugged in and the Ethernet. Then I won't have to do it again. And accidentally bumped the button and turned it on. And I didn't have the VGA and the USB because they're a little easier to break them or the connectors, and so that made it. It came on with no VGA, and plugging in the VGA didn't work. You still couldn't. I thought you might be able to see it. It just even though it had already booted up, but it didn't work on this one. Some of them it will. You can plug them in after the fact. You may not have the right resolution, but it'll still work. Oh, I didn't show that CRC. Yeah, I'll show it later some other point. But, I held it up there for a while. Anyway, the only difference is it says it's contact cleaner, and the only difference that I could see was between it and the red is it costs more. And I'm looking at the can. The ingredients, yeah, I did want to, okay, let's just get, I've already switched over. I'm going to need the endoscope to read it, but I want to see what the ingredients are. I'll do that later. I'm not going to do it right now. I want to get back to get going with the computer itself. So this box out of my way. Now, turn it on, and I'm going to get close over there with my. See, now it's not loud now. I'm going to kind of stay over here by it. I've got my mic. I was going to take my mic off. Well, I will. No, I'll leave it on my shirt because it's going to be hard to do that. Just be making noise on the. I just hit my glasses on the stand. You might have saw that, huh? Okay. So it's up and running. It's quiet, and then after it runs for just a minute or so, it'll probably get really loud. I can't stay bent over like that forever. If it starts getting loud, then I'll be able to show you. That's the only reason I was turning it on. Wait. I don't think it's loud yet. Well, it's louder on the back, but it's not making that bad noise yet. You watch it not do it just because I want it to. And I did go against my own advice, and I put WD-40 silicone. I just couldn't remember if it helped or not. I didn't worry about it leaving residue, really, not anything bad, and not anything that's hard to get off. I don't know. It's probably hard to do. I found out that silicone is mostly wax. Silicone spray. It's got got wax in it. At least that's what I read online. They were saying don't use that on your. Don't use it for your table saw table because it'll get on your wood and it will, it does sort of, I mean, you can see it on the wood even after it dries, but it's not hard to get off. I was a cabinet maker back in the 80s, and that's what we used. That's what I was taught to use, and we used it constantly. Used it for all of our tables, all of our router bases, everything that wood had to slide on. We used it for our nails, so that that's a real good trick. You can spray your nails. Well, we used air nailers, and you can spray your whole little clip of nails. And then they'll go in hardwood like red oak, white oak, stuff like that. That's what we used. That was the hardwood that we used the most. We use ash a lot, birch. That's not so hard. Actually, maple can be really hard. It's really dense. Nails, as a matter of fact, sometimes the maple was harder to get a finish nail through out of a nail gun than oak was. And white oak's harder than red oak. We didn't use a lot of white oak, but I've used it here in the last 20 years. I built a set of cabinets, and then the water got to the vanity, and I rebuilt it again just 2 years ago now, I guess. And every nail that I drive, I don't have a nail gun or anything now, so I'm just using my own tools. I do have a table saw now, but I would have to pre-drill the holes every single and drive it with a hammer. Which one trick I figured out nobody told me, I just figured it out, but everybody does it. I just cut, if the head's in the way, cut the head off the nail, and just put it in a drill and use it as your pilot drill. Whatever, same size of nail that you want to drive. Let's see. I'm just going to log into it and see if I might even turn something on that might make it work hard. See if the fan will get louder. But because it still doesn't seem like it's gotten louder. Anyway, I'm talking about woodworking. It's just about normal. See, that fan knows that I'm going to replace it. It sees that new fan laying there in front of the machine. Here, let me put it around there in the side view so you can see it. You see that? This is who's going to replace you, you bad, noisy little thing. Yeah, and it only costs $10. I think I originally paid $25-30 for you. So there. Just because you cost more don't mean you're last longer, I hope. Yeah, I really hope. And I'm not talking to you, little red thing. I know you're pretty and you're doing good. You're doing your best. You're not the most powerful fan in the world, but you're doing your job. I'm talking to you, Mr. CPU fan with the big R1 on it. On you. You have disappointed me. You are not doing your job. You're going to drive me nuts with that horrible noise. And of course now you're not making it because you just want to make me look bad on the video. But I know what you do. You know what you do. So you're coming out of there. Alright. Yeah, it's not going to make any noise now. It was earlier. When I accidentally turned it on, it was making all kind of noise. Couldn't hardly get it off fast enough. Let's see. Trying to think. Well, there's that DNF updater again. I'll open it. Open Dragora dialog. What's that? Yeah, that's the application. Oh, it's not going to be working. It's already checked for the updates. So I was thinking if I make DNF, and it works pretty hard, Yelm or DNF, and so does I guess I should have just went to a YouTube video, I guess. I was trying to think of something that would, well, I'll just open up the Firefox and start playing. You won't see it or hear it because I don't have speakers plugged in, and all you can see is the side of the machine right now. I'm on the machine, so I can't switch easily. I'd have to switch back. And I'm not, this is not my points. That's, you know, showing you the desktop right now, so I'm going to try to, I clicked on a thing to go to YouTube, and it jumped up with a update of some browser add-on or something. It's one thing I don't like. I really don't want them opening up their website every time they update because it gets really aggravating. Usually they'll update 2 or 3 at the same time, and you keep trying to, you know, do what you're doing, and it keeps fighting you. It drives me nuts. Let's see. Oh yeah, is this one done? Oh, this is Mom's. It's not mine. It already has her account in there, so. Yeah, so but I know my YouTube username is DWEB98, DWeb98. So if I just type that at the end of youtube.com/, then oh, it's starting to do it. Then I get my channel. I don't know if you can hear it. Okay, I think I will actually unclip the mic and move it around by the stick. I'm just going to hold it, see, in different places, because that's close to the CPU fan, power supply fan, PSU, power supply unit. That's the big fan in the back. Let's get over to the side where maybe you hear less of the fan and more of the vent there. And another vent down at the bottom. And that big fan's blowing pretty good. The you know, that power supply fan, I think it pulls air in instead of pushing it out like they all used to. This one, I had a hard time figuring it out. The one that you can see me now, it's not loud. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you can hear it now, but it's blowing out. I figured that out, and I remembered I thought I had turned them around because they originally went in. And once I get this new one in there, the one that's on there now, I finally figured out. It pushes air into the heatsink instead of pulling it out. You know, out. See, this direction is the way I thought. Well, that's the way. This is going this way. Is what I thought, and so I thought it was silly for this one to fight it, so I turned it around. But if this one looks like maybe it's going to do like this other one, because I'm looking at the blades. So I might end up turning this around. The only thing is, if there's only one spot where the air is trying to go out, then you know it might not be able to handle that much force. I still might be better off to have this one going out and that one going out. It's kind of hard to. How are you going to know unless you do computer case wind tunnel tests? You know, I guess you could do a smoke test. You could get some colored smoke and watch it and see what it does. And then you can try and clean that off of your computer and your house or even your garage. Probably be terrible. So there we go. I've got the mic back in spot place. You probably couldn't hear what I was saying when I had it off. Let's shut it down. That's good enough. It may get louder and it may not, but I noticed that whenever I would just lean over towards it, you couldn't hear it like I could, you know, on the videos. There's more updates, but I didn't even pay attention to how many or anything. That wasn't what I was trying to do. So I still haven't put my shutdown button up there. I'm gonna have to do that. Okay, we're gonna have Mexican cornbread and red beans here in a little while. So I ain't gonna do this all evening. If somebody comes and calls me the vittles, they ain't gonna have to call me twice. I'm heading out. So I may quit this quicker than abruptly, quicker than usual and abruptly. We'll see. I do want to get this fan on if I can. Trying to figure out where I can set things without messing them up. Is it down? Yep, it's down. Okay. So that's why I had this all set up like this. I am going to unplug the power. Well, yeah. I mean, I could turn off the power, but it's much safer to just unplug when you're going to be doing anything that might possibly hurt something. For the power to be on. Oh, I don't really want that one. I want this one that's shorter and hard to get out of there. This one actually has a pretty good magnet on it, I think. My laptop's in the way, but it makes it. I can't see. I want to be able to see my preview, so I'm going to switch off that machine until I turn it back on. I mean, my laptop preview, I could see it, but it's not playing right now. Come on. It hits every, of the 4 spots, it hits every one but that one more I'm trying to get it to go to. Now, I can, in real time, see where I'm at. And put this off here. Shorts that I'm wearing are actually working man shorts. They've got a place to put tools on the side, kind of like old overalls used to have, or overalls have, or old overalls have. I don't know. I used to wear overalls back in the 70s quite a bit. It was became fashionable, and I always liked them, but they were considered really dorky. Well, all of a sudden, in around 75, they became fashionable. But nobody liked them. None of the old folks liked them. They thought that was, I guess they thought it was a hayseed type of thing to do. Well, actually, they caught on. They noticed all the hippies were wearing them, so they didn't like it. And so anyway, they wouldn't let me wear them to work, even though they were perfect working clothes. I had a job as was being trained to be a maintenance mechanic for car washes, gas stations, building maintenance. They were. It was in the time when all the self-service, this is in the time when gas stations were mostly all service stations. They'd come out and wash your windows and fill your car with gas. And they didn't charge you no extra for it either. There was gas wars all the time when everybody was trying to compete. And anyway, the self-service stations were coming in. And so this company, Wichita Falls, Texas, was buying gas stations and turning them into convenience store, self-service stations, combinations. And so we would do the maintenance and do the one or two times we did the most of the work on the well, a lot of it was hired out, you know, the conversion work, you know. But anyway, here is our. I think I'll get my Endoscope and cam 2 going. Whoops, wrong. Endoscope and cam 2. Let's see if I could actually use a little help in seeing what's going on down there. How close do I need to get? I don't think I have the light on enough for it to really help me. Turn it up a bit. Is that about right? Let's see. Where is it? I guess I didn't turn it up enough. Or I don't want to get a big, real bad reflection. There it is. I just wasn't shining at it. That's too much. Now, depends on what you're trying to get. Okay, now that's what I got to unplug. And trying to see. Okay. Oh, okay. I think it's. Oh yeah, you got to stick. I just remembered I had to use my screwdriver. I think what I want to do is go ahead and get this thing loose. Okay, so there's a clip on this side. There it is, right there. And then this side has a clip and a lever. That's what I wanted. So you can, and it is hard to get to this stuff. The power cable for the motherboard itself is in my way. There we go. So you just lift it up. I mean, there's nothing hard about it except for it's hard to get in there because it's so close to the power supply. And then you do have to make sure it comes, the clip is still on there. So one way or the other. Be careful with screwdrivers. You know, you might short something out even though you're unplugged and off. If there's still power left in it, especially capacitors. Of course, you'd have to try pretty hard to touch, you know, the leads in the capacitor. They're pretty low to the board. You probably couldn't do it, really. There, okay. So now, see, here's all that CPU paste. See how much is sticking out of there? Because I put some on the last time I had it on. But now, I can get to that. Of course, doing it with the fan, with the camera, the endoscope camera. But that clip holds it. Now I've got that's a real pointy one, so I'm not showing you. Where is it? There it is. See, I got it in there and it's staying. I'm lucky. So I think I can do it with one hand. There. Now the reason I could do that is because I had my little really small screwdriver would fit and stay. Actually, we're so long of a handle there that well, you might have been able to see it was just leaning on the power supply and staying in place. But see, that's a 4-pin. There we go. With the guide there to make sure you don't plug it in the wrong place. Now, I'm going to drop this. Well, let's wait. Oh yeah, let's put this up here. And you know, that paste. What I'm going to do. Now this is a 3-pin, and its guide is on either side of it. I don't know if you can see that or not. There you can kind of tell. I'll look at it that way. There. So you don't want to put, you could put, well, you'd have to really try to put it on there wrong. Because see, it's also thinner on that side, so it wouldn't want to line up. It would fight you if you tried to put it in the wrong place, which is good. Now, I want to get my plastic, put this over here, put it out there, out of the danger zone. Now I got to get my, I'm going to get this off here and put it on the, be careful not to mess it up, but I'm going to put this on the old one, I think, if I can. Let's see, it goes like that, like that.
Trying to see if it'll clip back on there. Doesn't seem like it's exact same size, so I don't think it'll work. What I can do probably is, yeah, it's different. It won't hook on there, but I can put a rubber band on there to hold that together. Let's put it somewhere where I don't, where I won't knock things around, off. Let's see. Put it on my bed over there and I'll end up doing no telling what. Getting it all over my comforter. Okay, I'll set it up there where I'm not as likely to get into it. Now, let's see what this looks like. There actually looks like there's something on it. I can't see good enough to tell. I see the spot on my preview over there, but let me get my magnifying glass so that maybe I can see it in my... Yeah, there's something there. And my paste is pretty thin on the CPU now. It mostly all stayed on the cooler. So, I would say I'm going to have to drop this and use my magnifying glass. Instead of using my finger's so big, I think I will. Yep, it's not something you want to leave on there. It's some kind of crumb or something. And I just now took that off, so I didn't do that. It's kind of gooey, but it's really drier than I would want my CPU paste to be. So I'm going to get my, since I'm here, well, I have some. I don't know if there's any left that I can do. I've got a package, a little squeeze pack. I'm gonna have to get this out of here. There we go. I got a little squeeze pack of it. That's it's pretty much empty, but I also have a brand new. I'll use the rest of that for sure. I'm not gonna waste it. And I have a brand new. I don't know what I've done with it. Should be in here where I can get to it. If I drop that, I'll be mad. Let me get that off of there. That's all my tools. My tray of tools, and if I dropped that and dumped them all out, they'd be all out of order, and I'd have to spend 2 hours straightening it up. It's not up there in the top of that, is it? One good thing about, oh, there it is. I tried to have it somewhere where I could get to it. So let's get it out. Brand new tube. I don't think I've used the drop out of it yet. Maybe a little. Okay. Now, put my tray back where it goes because I'll step on it where it's at. That's my little, just my little computer parts. There's computer parts in there. ISA and PCI cards, even as old as ISA cards in there, and my tools, basic tools that you can work on. I can work on the computers with, and without having to go out in the garage and get tools. So, let me see something here. You know, I'm just starting to kind of. Okay, but that's machine flat, so it won't matter. But yeah, that paste is not even come near covering the area that it should. I got it into the paste. Figured it would, one way or the other, but okay. You can see the impression of that processor on there. So let me get my little scale here. I'm going to kind of just hold it up there. Let's see. There's the impression. What is that, 1/900 or so? It's pretty well square. Now let's look on the CPU itself. I don't know if I can get. I have to just hold it up really high. I can't get down there close to it, but that's all right. It's just an estimate here. And I'm trying to get straight over it. Now the actual processor looks like it's not near as big as it looked there. It's actually more like 1/6. It's upside down to me, isn't it? Okay, if I do that now. I'm trying to look at the preview over there. Actually looks like 1/4. Boy, I can't see to save my life anymore. And that's with the glasses on, and I can't even get it near the other way, but it looks square. So my whole point being that the pace that they give me is what, 1, 2, 1, 3? Yeah, and it's pretty well square. So that would be 1 inch, 200 thousandths, 300 thousandths, 600 thousandths. That's what I was talking about. This is not a measuring tape. It's a scale. It's a machinist scale. I used to be a tool maker too once upon a time. So in other words, if I can get it out, I'll get my measuring tape. See if I can see it with the magnifying glass. Okay. Now with my measuring tape, it looks more like 1.5 inch. Yep. And this, it is about 1 1/4, about 1 5/16. Yeah, it shows about 1.5 inch. I don't know, my eyes, I can't, I don't know how to, they swap letters and numbers. When I try to look at a tape or a scale or anything, I will see things in different places than they actually are. So anyway, there's a fan on that video card. What is that video card? That is a GeForce 210 512 megabyte DDR3 memory. That's what makes that thing able to, even though it's just a dual core, able to do okay on Fedora 27. I've put it on several dual cores, and it's the only one that could really run it good enough for me to even consider leaving it on there. So, and the laptop, the Dell 1525 laptop that Mom's using right now, it actually has 3 gig of RAM. This has only got 2 gig of RAM, but it has 312 or whatever this, I forgot the size now, the general size, megabytes of shared video memory. Let's see, it's a dual core Intel. Can't remember, and I think it might have a video chip offside of the processor instead of being part of the processor, but anyway. Okay, so it's going to be a little tricky getting down in there with this. So instead of doing that, I'm going to use my brand new stuff. I'll use the rest of that, I promise. I'm not going to waste it. You can trust me on that. I will not waste it. But it'd be so easy to just take this and squeeze it down in there, because it's hard to get to. Let's see. Now, I started to say I'd change my view to bigger so you could see better, but get off this double view. If I just show the one view, then it'd be bigger, you know. But I'm going to want that endoscope cam in just a second, because I'm going to show those clips. It's going to help me. It helps me to see what I'm doing. Okay, so this stuff, I don't know if it's gray instead of I don't know. I guess, like I said, I don't think I've squirted any of it out of there yet, but it shows like, it looks like a clear tube. It is a clear tube. It must be gray. Let's see what this is. Let's go over here. Or I'll go over here. Y'all can stay over there. Heat sink. Thermal. Coupling of, yes, we know what it's for. Made in China, of course. But this, I actually got lucky and found a guy. There's this guy that I really like, Morton. He's in. His name is Morton, and he's a server admin guy, and he loves to play with servers. He has a bunch of servers, a whole server room set up in his house. And but that's what he does for a living too. So he really knows his stuff. And he'll do tests and stuff and comparisons sometimes. And he did that. He bought some expensive CPU paste, and he bought some stuff like this. He couldn't find any difference in temperature or anything. So I went ahead and ordered some for $2, you know. Now, getting it was another thing. It never came, and it never came. And I mean, you know, it takes at least a month to get anything straight from China, because it came straight from China on Amazon. Yep, this is gray. That ought to be enough. Probably. Oh, I tried to be careful and not do that, but I did it anyway. I'll just put that right there. Okay. I mean, it doesn't matter, but so I can just wipe it off. Now, this is how I'm going to do it. Yeah, you could get you a spudger or something, some little thing to squirt, you know, moving around with, but really, I mean, there's not that much oil on the tip of your finger. The only thing is the mess it's going to make. This is the first time I've seen used any that was gray. I really hadn't thought much about the coloring. I'm just going to put that on there until it's just not much different than greasing a wheel bearing. You know, don't have no sand on your hands, and don't have no bunch of oil or anything on there. Something that's going to cut. Mostly don't have no alcohol or WD-40 on your hands. Something that will cut the stuff and make it run off of there and not stay. I mean, the only way you could really cause trouble is if you had a huge area that was not covered. Like, say, the size of your little finger or bigger, you know. But, I was going to say, I think that's Morton uses his fingers like I was just doing, but... And I used to think maybe it was toxic to your hands or something, too, is why they told you not to touch it. You know, I mean, all I had to go by was the instructions I got with my products. Let's see, now I'm going to plan out how I want this, otherwise I'll end up taking it off and putting it back on. These clips can only go that way or that way. And I want my cable, yeah, that way it'll dangle down. Oh, you know, when it's standing up, it'll dangle down away from the fan, and it'll still be long enough to reach where it's got to go. So, let's put my thumb in it. Let's do that first. We're testing it, making sure it's still soft. But that came with it. People ask in the question section on Amazon, is that going to come with CPU paste, or do I have to buy more? Oh, it comes completely with CPU paste covered. And I've gotten stuff that were covered good, and you didn't need any more. Well, this ain't one of them. Well, I've gotten other coolers, you know, that did. I pulled up used ones that had more new, soft CPU paste. That stuff is almost dried. And it's so thin, and it's not even it wouldn't even near cover. That's why I went into all that trouble of measuring. It wouldn't even near cover that actual CPU. So they're lying, because they're not that stupid. They know that there's different sizes of CPUs, and they put the bare minimum on there. They didn't put enough on there to cover a typical CPU that this thing is made for. So those fins are pretty soft. It doesn't feel like it's a good idea to hold that. Now I was going to get I'm going to have to just try to do this without any extra magnifying, because I can't let go of this. I don't want to get paste on my connections. It fell. I don't know what it hit. Okay, so a lot of times I have to use my magnifying glass, and because I used to be so good with my hands. My hands are fumbly now. I think I'm really going to have to find a way to set this down. I keep forgetting it's got paste all over it. See, there's one thing about them coming that way. If they're clean, and I have done it before, like especially if it's one as a used one, and I kept having the trouble I'm having right now. You keep getting this stuff all over everything. I've cleaned them off, put a new paste on the CPU, and then and then set it down on there. Because it starts getting really aggravating, because when you're fumbly like me and you need to, I need both hands just to do this. I know it should be really easy, but I can't see it. I can't. See, everywhere I put it, it goes nuts. Okay, at least I got it somewhere now. I can't show you with. I'll just show you after I get it on there. I need to do this so that I can see what I'm doing. There, now I can really see. Because you bend something and break it. And that went on so easy once I hit the right spot. Now I just have to trust that they wired these right. And I really made me worried reading that review of it. It wasn't this one. I didn't buy the one that someone said, because I thought, well, it could be that manufacturer wired it wrong, and it did, and that's why. They put it on right, and it burned up their motherboard. And I certainly don't want any part of anything that could possibly do that. So I didn't buy that brand. And it actually cost more than this one too. As the failures, when they fail big, Even just because things has, and two things on Amazon especially, just because they have 4.5 stars, that doesn't mean there's that product that you're looking at. They just dump pretty much any fan of that brand in there. And so it's gotten really bad with that. So really it's getting to where you can't trust their reviews. I mean, unless you find reviews and the person mentions, this is the product I bought and it's the product you're looking at. And don't go by the overall that much. Used to, you'd think, oh, okay, 4 stars, that's probably good. I've done it before, I think, just buy it because it has 4.5 stars or whatever. But I'm learning, don't do that. Now, can I hit this? There we go. I think it just went right on. Yep, it sure did. And they did say, they were telling the truth about how easy it was to put on there. Is it hitting my memory? Yes. It's even bigger. You have to take this off to get the memory out now. But I think it's going to work. I was worried about that. I'll show you. Okay, here's the memory. It's actually, the other one set just almost touching the memory. This one is cut out. And let's see. Okay, it's cut out. The wire's in the way. See the cutout? And it's sitting over the memory. But it's resting on the memory. Now let's see. Is it holding it up off the CPU? That would make it not work. I can't tell. And I don't think this, not so sure. That's memory slot O, I believe. I don't like to put, I mean, I only have one memory stick. I could put it in the other slot unless it would cause, some motherboards don't like that and they won't run. They won't even boot. Okay, DIM 1, DIM A1, DIM AB, they don't call it memory, DIM O like all the other. It took me for years to get used to that and learn to count 01 instead of 1, 2, 3. So now they start changing it. Now here's what I'm worried about though. I can't tell. It'll slide back and forth. Okay. It's not moving the memory with it when I do that. So I guess it's not. It feels to me like it's registered. But how am I going to be able to tell? Registered as in sitting down where it's supposed to be. I didn't think this would be a problem. Well, I did. I thought, well, what if this thing is... It feels to me like it's floating on the... I can't tell. Save my life. I can't get in a spot where I can see if it's being held up off of that CPU. And that would be bad. That would make it overheat. I'm afraid it might be. I keep forgetting. I'm kind of just using the light on this camera, and I'm not looking. I can't look in two places at once anyway. But you can see now I'm looking at my preview. There's just no way for me to tell if. And that's just the fiberglass, you know. I mean, there's no electrical circuits. There's nothing would short out. Now let's just make sure there's nothing actually touching the side of it. I mean, it's possible it could. I have to turn this. I'm gonna have to. All this stuff that I was trying to leave on for convenience is really turning into be a real problem. I worry about breaking the clip. I don't have a lot of. Or I have too darn many Ethernet cables that are broken from me moving stuff around. Let me put this down, stand this up. Will it help for me to go this way? Ready to eat? Okay. Well, I told you it would happen. So I'm gonna give it one look and then I'm gonna go eat. That's too. I think what I'm going to end up having to do is take this memory stick out so that I can take it off. That's the only way I can get the memory stick out because it's just right there. And let me lay it down again. I was hoping to get at some angle where I could see. I mean, I can put this camera in places that I can't go, so. Try that. That's too close to get a view on it, isn't it? Bend it real tight to try to get it in there, and now it's not helping me now. That's not aimed the way it looks like it's aiming. There. I guess if I could get a feeler gauge in there, I might tell. But it's not that tight. I mean, it wouldn't. But, okay, well, it actually, there's a sticker there that would, you know, insulate anything. But there's all kinds of solder joints that could actually touch that thing and short out. I had a feeling that could happen, and I kept thinking, nah, it won't be that big, because it has the same size of fan as the fan I have. And I thought, well, it won't be, you know, hopefully it won't, I kept hoping it wouldn't be any bigger than the one I've got. Well, it is. But this only has the 2 screws, and the one I got has 4, so I couldn't even take this off and put it on the other one without some serious rework. These little pins are right where the screws would go, or close to it. I mean, they may be like right there or something. Where's my finger? They might, instead of being there where those pins are, they might be right there or something. But it would never mount right. It's not made. It just wouldn't work. That one has 4 holes. I think maybe since she's only got 1 memory slot, I may be able to memory stick. Can move it over here into them 2. And it should be okay. I've done it before on other machines. I think it'll be fine. But if I ever wanted to put 2 in there, something would have to be done about all that. If I ever did upgrade this thing, I would probably use that other motherboard, and I think it's bigger and has more space, and you could probably still use this, unless it wouldn't fit on the. It'd be the same socket, so same type of socket. But even though if I upgraded it, it'd be like with a bigger, you know, a 6-core or 8-core processor. So there you go. I'm going to stop this video and eat some of this good homemade food. I live off TV dinners, so that takes precedence over making videos. But can you believe that? Let's see. Can I try to show it one more time before I quit? You can't really see it that way, how it's touching. I showed it several times. But, yeah, there it is. Look at that. It's touching on the side. It's not actually touching on the top, is it? Oh, it's got some space there. Okay, so it's not holding it up off of there. Yeah, it's probably not keeping the, it didn't feel like it, but I mean, I couldn't see it to tell. It feels, but it's not holding it up off of there, but it is touching the memory. And there's a sticker there. I don't know how far it goes. I don't know. I mean, that heatsink is just pure aluminum. I could short that memory stick out. So, I think I'm going to stand this up like that. And go get my food. Get this stuff. Yeah, I'll put it right here until I come back. I imagine after I eat, I'll probably work on it some more. I think depends. It depends. If I get tired, get all fat and happy, might not. But I'd like to now that I'm in the middle of it. But it's not going to be hard to get that off to move that memory stick. It's just, I think I'm definitely going to do that though. I don't want to do it right now. I could. I mean, I don't like leaving things unfinished. I'm always worried I won't get back to it, but like I said, this is homemade food. All right. I had a feeling about that. I don't believe there was any dimensions given for the heatsink, just the fan. If there was, I didn't ever see them. All right. Well, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna eat. Maybe I'll come. If I don't come back today, it'll be tomorrow or whatever. Probably tomorrow. Either this evening or tomorrow, most likely. So we'll see you.
Later. And I will move that memory stick over to the next slot. I think it'll run fine. I don't think it'll give any trouble. Some machines, if you don't have one in the memory slot, first slot, it'll give an error, you know. But I think it's mostly the older machines that do that. All right, bye-bye.